Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the best subcommittee in E&T. Just saying. No words out of you, Delegate Stewart or Delegate Healy. Not hearing it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bills on our agenda today. Most of them pretty straightforward, one pretty big one. So we're going to start with HB 219, St. Mary's County Motor Vehicle Registration Exception for Golf Carts. Thank you, Delegate Morgan, for working with the sponsor and bringing forward amendments. Patrick, would you like to walk us through the amendments, please?
Sure. Okay. The amendments strike the bill, and they require the St. Mary's County Board of County Commissioners to generate a report recommending roads and areas for the operation of golf carts, unregistered golf carts on public highways, under standards set forth in the bill that we've been using for years for golf carts: peninsula, isolated area, on the bay, possibly as part of a network of Chesapeake Bay marinas and stops, tourist stops and the like. And then it requires them to report to us in the St. Mary's County delegation and JPR by December 1st, in time for us to get a bill set for next year. And the St. Mary's delegation, I don't know if I mentioned that. And that'll set the stage for next year.
Awesome. Any questions about those amendments? Okay. Is there a motion?
Move the amendment.
On the amendments.
Okay, sounds like a motion and a second on the amendments. All those in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Great, the amendments are adopted.
Thank you.
On the bill as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. HB 219, favorable with amendments. Excellent. Let us move on to HB 391, parking enforcement citations. Delegate Healy, thank you for working with the opposition and coming forth with amendments. Patrick, will you please walk us through the amendments?
Yes, the amendments are pretty simple. The bill originally required the political subdivision, state agency, whoever issued a parking ticket, to investigate the parking tickets, and Delegate Healy worked with them, and they sort of massaged the language just to require them to verify through the Motor Vehicle Administration whether the car and the license plates matched up. And then they also put in language authorizing the state political subdivision or third-party contractor to take care of these matters too.
Okay.
A lot of local jurisdictions use contractors to handle their parking tickets and the like.
Yeah.
Yes, Delegate Healy.
I just want to thank Bill from Maryland Municipal League for working with me on these amendments. And I did also speak with the Transportation Department from the city of Baltimore that had similar concerns. And I showed them the amendments, and I asked them if they wanted to change them or make any other additional amendments, that they should participate today in this meeting and send us the information, whatever proposed language. They have not done that, so I'm hopeful that that means that they're no longer in opposition. Okay, I had a very good meeting with them yesterday. The only concern that I got from my discussions with them, and I was hoping they would be here to bring them up, is I would, and I don't know if it's in the amendments or not, but the idea that Baltimore City has so many thousands of these tickets that they give out every day, that they the time constraint of having to stop and make phone calls and verify things was a challenge to them. And what I said to them, and they seemed to like it, was that it was an option for them. They could verify. I mean, if they thought that the person was not being truthful, because they would be signing the ticket under oath that the ticket, that the plate did not match their car, and they didn't need to get the ticket. So they seem to like that idea that they could spot check or do it as they thought they needed to. And I don't have any problem with that, but I didn't see any language to do that. So I don't know if Patrick, did they get in touch with you?
I haven't talked to him since I talked to you.
Okay, well, I haven't either. So that's the best that's the best of my knowledge. These are, I think, will help with everybody else except Baltimore. And I think that it helps them because I had a good conversation, but I haven't had any follow-up. So I would like to move the amendments.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions on the amendments? Delegate Davis, did you have a question?
I think my question is on the bill.
Okay. So on the amendments, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Great. Any opposed? Okay, the amendments are approved on the bill. Is there a motion?
Move favorable.
Move favorable. Second.
Okay, discussion. Delegate Davis.
Yeah, thank you. Delegate Healy, could you just describe in brief what you want the bill to do?
Okay, I want the bill to make it, I'll tell you, this happened to a constituent of mine whose handicap license plate was stolen and then put on another car. And the car was abandoned in a parking garage in Prince George's County and accumulated a parking ticket. And the person whose tag was stolen did everything they were supposed to. They reported it. They got new tags. This was an old tag and it didn't match the car. And I'm trying to figure out how to make that never happen again. And I've been working on it for a couple of years. I think this finally does it. So I hope that I could get your support.
Thank you. I remember the hearing now. Thank you.
Great. Any further questions on the bill? Okay, the bill is amended. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, the bill passes.
Thank
HB 391 favorable with amendments. I am going to jump over 550 because that's going to take us some time to discuss to HB 710 Anne Arundel County Speed Monitoring Systems Residential Districts. You all will recall that we have sort of two methods of dealing with speed cameras. One is giving counties countywide authority to put speed cameras in residential areas on roads up to 35 miles an hour. The other is the spot by spot speed cameras where it's very, very dangerous. You'll recall we just passed Route 210. So this is the first one, giving Anne Arundel County authority to put up speed cameras. Montgomery and Prince George's have this authority. So that's what the bill does. It came in favorable from the county. We have their letter and their vote sheet. So is there a motion on the bill?
Move favorable.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the bill? Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I'm opposed. I'm going to have to be consistent and stay opposed also.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I should have asked a question. I guess it's too late. I'll vote yes, but I still have a question. This mirrors what Montgomery County does, right?
exactly. Yes.
That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
And Patrick, doesn't Prince George's have this authority too?
Yes.
Correct.
I thought so.
We mirrored Montgomery County too.
Right. And this mirrors Prince George's and Montgomery. Yep,
All right.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so that goes through favorable.
The vote there, please.
I'm sorry,
What was the vote there?
the vote, how many?
Something to two?
Something to two, yes.
Thank you.
I went to law school, so I didn't have to do math. Don't ask me to do math. Okay, HB 1173, motor vehicles, recreational vehicle dealer agreements. If you all recall, this was because RVs are different and the sale of them is different than with cars. So there's a model agreement that has been put out there. There are some amendments. Patrick, do you want to walk us through the amendments, please? Or will you? I don't know if you want to, but will you please?
Well, you don't want me to, but the amendments are quite long, but all they do is they make touch-up changes, but they also put licensing back in. It was actually accidentally taken out during the drafting. That's why it's so long. They put the licensing provisions. The bill takes the RV manufacturers out of the NVA licensing scheme, but it didn't put them back into their own. So the amendments add the licensing scheme. And I should add that NVA hadn't seen them before, so they are looking them over now. If there's any issues between now and when this goes to voting, we'll talk about it.
When you mean it goes to the full committee?
Yeah.
Okay, but are we okay to discuss and vote?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
At this point, at this time of year, we have to just go.
Yep. And can you remind me? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No,
I want to interpret what Patrick, you're just saying that this is a technical amendment to fix a drafting problem.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
They're currently licensed. The bill accidentally takes them out of a licensing scheme, so the amendment just puts it back in.
Perfect.
Delegate Stewart.
I'm good, actually.
Okay. So if I recall correctly, this is an industry negotiated model law, and it governs agreements between RV manufacturers and dealers because they don't fit neatly into the way car manufacturers do.
Correct.
So, does anybody have any questions on the amendments? Okay. Is there a motion?
Move favorable.
Second.
Great. All in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay. On the bill as amended.
Move the bill.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Any discussion? I know we're moving pretty quickly. If you guys want to slow down and talk about it, I'm fine with that. Just let me know. Everybody good? I see Aaron waiting. All right. All those in favor of the bill as amended.
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Anybody opposed? Okay, the bill passes.
Thank
It's
you.
amended. Okay. We are now moving to Delegate Weibel's Town of Sharpsburg parking of vehicles restrictions. Patrick, will you tell us what this bill does, please?
Yes. This bill, it prohibits certain parking activity by basically commercial vehicles only in Sharpsburg, Washington County. Doesn't apply to passenger vehicles or anything like that. Person may not park a vehicle on any street or highway. Doesn't apply if it's like a moving truck and you're parking there to move somebody into their house. The specific language is the vehicle is essential to the immediate use then being made of the vehicle. And they need this bill because the parking enforcement's done by the county sheriff, who's a state officer, and the state officer won't enforce county or municipal law, only state law. So they need this in state law.
Got it. Thank you. There are no amendments?
No amendments.
Okay. Is there a motion on the bill?
Move favorable.
Is there a
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nice. All right.
You're
Now
on a
we
roll.
move- What's that?
You're on a roll.
I'm telling you, we are the best committee. Just telling you. Okay, so now we move to the fun one. HB 7 and HB 550. So HB 7 has been swallowed up into HB 550. So that bill, upon movement of 550, will be withdrawn. But it is on here just for us to know that. So HB 550 is an administration bill. It's a big bill, so let's take our time with this. Patrick, can you walk the subcommittee, please, through the bill as amended, how it works? And then from there, we can talk about the amendments. Does that work for a structure for the committee? Yes, no? Okay, great.
I'll go through it with the amendments.
Great.
Well, for starters, this bill deals with 3 different programs. First is the electric vehicle recharging equipment rebate program. First thing it does, the bill originally came in by eliminating the cap, which in current law is 1.8 million. The amendments put the cap back in at 2.5 million, and it is in the budget. Then there are caps on how much individuals.
Can
how
I
much
stop you for
businesses-
1 second? Yes, we've got people waving. Delegate Guyton.
Thank you, thank you. I wonder if you can either share your screen on this so that we can follow along, or start with what the bill does and how this changed it, not just what it changed it to, if that's possible.
Well, I don't have any share screen
I've
here.
read the bill, but
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can share my screen. I'll pull it up. But Delegate Davis, what he was talking about just now was both what the bill does and the amendments to it. So let me see if I can pull up my screen. But Patrick, you want to tell them about what that means, the electric vehicle recharging equipment program?
Well, it gives, current law, it gives rebates to individuals, businesses, and a separate category for retail service stations, gas stations, for installing electric vehicle charging equipment. The bill gets rid of the cap on the amount that can be spent on the program annually. The bill also takes out gas stations from the bill. They can still get their rebates. They can still apply for their rebates as a business, but they don't get the enhanced rebate that was previously allowed for gas stations. And quite frankly, gas stations never utilized the program anyway. Then.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's the part that he was just talking about. We're taking out the gas stations right here, moving it back to fiscal 2026, and we are raising the cap to 2.5 million.
okay, so it doesn't take the cap off completely. It just raised.
No, it takes.
All
the
right, that
cap-
was a question. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. Removes the cap
All right,
from
do
1.8 to 2.5.
you want me to go through it as amended?
Isn't this the amendment?
Yeah, I think it's easier to do it that way.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, and then with the same program, the electric recharging rebate program, for individuals, it increased, excuse me, the maximum amount to the lesser of 700, which is current law, or 50% of the cost of acquiring or installing the recharging equipment, from 40% in current law. That's done by amendment. And then the same for businesses, from 40 to 50%. But then their maximum number is the lesser of 50% or 5,000, which goes up under the amendment from 4,000.
Everybody got that?
And then there's the amendments also authorize the administration to alter the program, to use the program for benefits for the installation of vehicle recharging equipment in multifamily housing, planned urban developments, and condominiums in low to moderate income communities. This is language coming out of Climate Solutions. Low to moderate income communities located in a census tract with an average median income at or below 80% of the average median income for the state, or overburdened or underserved communities. And then
Everybody got that part? Okay,
That is the end for the recharging rebate program.
okay,
Now we go into the medium duty and heavy duty zero emission vehicle grant program. First thing it does is current law says that the grant can be up to 20% of the cost of one of these vehicles. That's current law. The bill raised it to 100% of the incremental costs of the
Hang on.
vehicles. That is the difference between what it would cost to get a conventional vehicle, say a forklift or a truck, and an electric trucks. And then the amendment reduces that to 75%. And it has a definition for incremental costs for both trucks, conventional wild trucks, and for heavy equipment property, which is part of the program. That again is like forklifts and industrial vehicles and the like.
so hang on one second, Patrick, I want to make sure that, there we go, I blew past this part,
To
so
page
it
4 of
changes to
7.
75% of the incremental cost. And then there's the definition of incremental cost. Okay, sorry. Everybody with us so far? Okay,
Okay. And the next change, which again was done by amendment, this was done in concert with the change on the top of page 5 of 7. Basically, this increased to 10,000 pounds with the correct language, gross vehicle weight, from 8,500. What we're trying to do here is this is for industrial and commercial trucks and vehicles. Trying to avoid having passenger vehicles come into this, because electric vehicles are heavy, and the heaviest that we found on the market, and Lou found that for me from MMT, was 9,500 for a electric Hummer. So we're trying to, with this language and the language that it applies only to vehicles for commercial or industrial use, we're keeping passenger vehicles out of this program.
okay,
And then again, and then the amendment requires administration to give preference to vehicles that are to be primarily domiciled and operated in the state, and by somebody who's having activity that impacts public health, environment, and infrastructure in overburdened or underserved communities. And then the same for the heavy equipment property. It's expected to be primarily used at locations in the state.
everybody with us? I can't see everybody, so if you need us to stop or have a question, please speak up. Okay,
Okay.
let's keep
And
going.
then right below that, there's an increase from fiscal years 24 to 27 from 1 million to 10 million. And this is in the budget from SEIF, Strategic Energy Investment Fund, for grants for these newly manufactured vehicles.
Okay,
Now,
and for those of you who are wondering what SEIF is, it's in the next section. You can read about it there. Or
Yeah,
you can
but this
ask
is
about it now if you want.
the Strategic Energy Investment Fund. This part is really the economic matters part, but you're voting on it too. So
Right,
basically, all this does is changes the currently the required grants to support renewable tier one renewable energy sources in the state that are owned or directly benefit low income residents of the state. That's current law. The amendment expands that pool to be low to moderate income communities. Again, the climate solutions language, low to moderate income communities located in a census tract with average median income at or below 80% of the average median for the state, and then overburdened or underserved communities. And then below is part of that fund is to be used for the same purpose but only for solar energy. And again, the current law, low income, and we change it to the same language from the climate solutions. That's it.
that's it. Okay, So, questions? Discussion, thoughts, comments, anything? Delegate Morgan.
I'll start.
Mhm.
I'm looking at these amounts. And maybe Pat, you could explain, on page 2, line 25, why they went up by 50% for the rebates. Is that because they think there's gonna be so many rebates coming that they've got to allocate for that?
Page 2, line 25. Here we go.
Well, I will note for you that this is really something for the future. This is the maximum amount that can go for each rebate to an individual is the lesser of 50% of the cost of acquiring and installing the recharging equipment, or 700. 700 is going to be the lesser of that for a little while now. So that's down the road, if we don't change it, that 50% might be less, but right now it doesn't have much practical effect. But yeah, that, I don't know, just sweetens the pot a little bit, I guess.
Okay. And then on page 3, then you got the $700. Is the $700 for a residence, or I'm trying to figure out the difference between, we've gone up by 10% in each, on page 3, we've got a 10% on each line, whether it be on line 1 or line 6. And you've correspondingly, looks like they've done, if you go up by 20% on line 6, the money goes up by 25% on line 8. Are those for houses, condominiums, or what am I missing?
The first one's on the top of page 3.
Yes,
Those are for individuals in their houses.
so they
okay.
can get up to $700.
Right.
Okay, so if the bill comes in at 4,000, they'll get 700 of the 400,000 back.
No, that's for a business entity. The 700 is for the individual.
Right.
So
That's
I'm
for
just
your
saying,
house.
Okay, so if it costs him $4,000 to put it in, he can get a $700 rebate from the state.
Correct.
Okay, then how about then the $5,000? What's that for?
That's for businesses.
Where would a condominium or a apartment complex come in?
That would come in if you go down lower on the page. Current law doesn't address that. But lower on the page, the amendment puts in language that authorizes the Maryland Energy Administration to alter the program to offer additional benefits for installation of these recharging equipment in multifamily housing, planned urban communities, and condominiums.
So
and
that's
again,
line,
the low to moderate. What's
that's
that?
I'm sorry, that's line 20, right?
That is the language after line 14. The language after line 20 is just regulatory language that's repeating what's above it.
Okay, so is there a price tag on multifamily housing, PUDs or condos?
The whole thing is one pot of 2.5 million.
Okay, so 2.5 million includes everything from, I use the line 15 all the way to the top.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Okay, then, okay.
And then there will be a waiting list after that.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there, I guess I'm gonna be kind of mean here. With the cost of an electric vehicle in the $70,000 marketplace, and you talk about lower and moderate income communities located in a census tract with 80% below the median income. Is there do we, I guess this is the committee's idea that we'll be selling a lot of electric vehicles in those neighborhoods?
Actually, the prices of EVs have gone way down. I don't know what the
I was looking at the governor's more car the other day, it's 71,000 on the side of his Mustang. So
that's a different one.
okay.
Yeah, but there are many that are lower than that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and then Patrick, help me a little bit on the next page, which I guess is page 4, the line 27 or 28, whatever it is. Heavy duty, is this where it gets up to 10,000 pounds?
Yes, yeah, this actually starts with the defined terms on the very bottom of page 3, 92011.
Yeah.
And then it goes into a big section with defined terms. So yeah, so above that, and then here the substantive stuff starts in 28 and 29, or 29 and 30. This is the second program.
Okay. Okay. And that would be the, I guess you said, if I remember correctly, that's equipment? Or is that cars? Heavy
Big
equipment.
trucks, commercial equipment and trucks, commercial industrial equipment and trucks.
Okay. That's a 10,000 pound. That was your 10,000, 95-pound Hummer.
That would be cut out by the amendment language put on the top of page 5.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're 9,500, because electric vehicles are heavier,
Well, yeah.
they could go over 10,000 soon. We don't. This is not for passenger cars, so the language
Okay.
up there would keep passenger cars out.
Okay, then I guess then my last question for now is on page 5, going to that $10 million strategic energy investment fund. Could you help me? I'm trying to read it and understand it. I'm trying to figure out why they go from 1 to 10. That's a lot of money.
It's a policy question.
Oh,
Their policy to support this industry and get incentivize people to buy these things.
okay.
And it's in the budget. We're not just throwing numbers out there.
Oh, you mean it's in the budget we are getting ready to read?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for Tom. I'll bow out for a time being.
Please feel free to come back. Thank you, Delegate Morgan. Delegate Jacobs.
Thank you. I believe my question was more relevant to a conversation on House Bill 7, but I know we're folding that into this bill, correct?
Yes, sir.
But NRG was in that hearing, and they proposed an amendment to allow for transfer or assignment of the supply equipment rebate. Did that where did that end up in this bill anywhere, or what's the status of that amendment?
That is not in the amendment. I know it's being pushed, but the MEA says they can do this now, so it just kind of nobody pushed it after we heard that.
You say MEA says they can do it,
Yes.
so there was no need for the amendment. That's what you're saying?
That's my understanding of how things went.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe my question is similar to Delegate Jacobs. I remember meeting with someone about the assignment of your rebate, and it gave me pause. So Patrick, could you tell me again whether that's in here or generally whether you can assign your rebate to someone else?
It's not in here. I can tell you that. MEA has told us that they can do that if they want to. And I never got a real answer to the question of who's making money when you do it that way, because it was presented as if the purchaser would be whole. So I'm not really sure how that would work.
I'd like to share what I think could happen is that people, like they do with solar, people selling solar, is they go to a whole neighborhood and said, I can install an EV charging station in your house. Maybe they don't even have an EV vehicle, but I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do it under this $700 price. It won't cost you anything. I'll just do the whole neighborhood. And I think it gets in the way of the people who really have EV vehicles. It's going to help to use up the money quicker, and it won't support the goal. The goal is to support people who actually want electric vehicles.
Got it. Thank you. Delegate
Well,
Jacobs?
it is not in here, to be clear.
Anything else, Delegate Davis?
I think we should address it, but we'll move on.
I'm sorry, Delegate Davis,
I think we should address it.
in what way? Do you want it in? Because it's not in right now.
I'd want to make it clear that is not the intention. The assignment is not the intention, unless someone can convince me that there's a purpose for having the assignments.
So if I understand correctly, that somebody can ask, Patrick, let me know if I'm wrong. Well, actually, maybe it's better if I let Landon answer. Go ahead.
Certainly, Chair, thanks for the time. The amendment that was proposed, I believe, was permissive language anyway. I think this is allowable under the current law. However, just to be clear, this is not something that MEA currently does programmatically or through regulation. So what is proposed in the amendment is generally, I believe, permissible, but it is not currently something that's included in the program language or practices.
So Landon, if I understand correctly, somebody could go to MEA and say, I'd like to assign this credit because I'm buying the equipment and this person's going to put it in, and it's just easier for me for them to do it. Correct?
Only in a hypothetical sense, because it's not currently it's not currently one of the application avenues for the areas of interest within the program, right? So hypothetically, it would be permissible in future program years, but it's not current practice, and it's not allowed in the current program language to assign it.
Okay. Helpful. Does that answer your question, Delegate Davis?
Yes.
Excellent. Good. Okay. Delegate Jacobs.
It just made me a little more concerned. Because we just went the opposite direction of the answer I got earlier. When I asked about the question of the assignment, they said MEA could do it. Now MEA says not there, so not at this time. But wouldn't it make sense to clarify MEA's interpretation of the existing statute by putting it in there? So that it's not this, I mean, we're trying to figure it out right now with the so-called experts, and it's muddy, you know, it's not clear. So wouldn't it make it clearer if we had the amendment clarifying MEA's interpretation?
Landon.
Because the language of the amendment is still permissive, it would still be incumbent upon MEA to add this this process into its program, either through regulation or the programmatic language, the program development in any given fiscal year. So I don't think conceptually we're opposed to it, because it is currently permissible. The language is also permissive. So I don't see it altering generally the scope of the legislative program. It's only a question as to if MEA can work with stakeholders in the future, and then possibly include this within the program, right? So that's really a question. I don't know. It's clarifying in the sense that it makes it clear that it's permissive, but I believe without language disqualifying it already is permissive.
Well, I'm more confused. I'm getting more confused now. If it's, I mean, you know, I'm a simple man, and I just like things that are in writing where you can see here's what's allowed, rather than we're trying to figure out what could be or would be or in the future or whatever. I think it's either there or it's not there is clarifying to me. So, you know, when we look at legislation, if it's not there in print, it's not there.
I think what Landon is saying is that the legislation would just reiterate what MEA can already do. At some point in time, they can do this. They
But they
can
said-
put it in the program.
But he said that he could, and then a couple minutes later, he said, but it's not in practice now. But in the future, it would be. That's where I'm getting confused about. It's not clear to me, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
about this.
Landon, you want to try to clear that up again?
Yeah, Chair, I would just echo your statement. I think that was accurate, an accurate depiction of the current status of law and what it would still be under the amendment. Again, we're not opposed to the language because I don't believe for MEA it really changes, anything specifically.
Okay,
It would
Thank
still
you.
be permissive that we could do this.
thank you.
Safe, did you have anything you wanted to add to this discussion?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Not necessarily, but just to clarify what Delegate Jacob has mentioned, it is within the MEA's purview to implement this, as they have implemented the program in the past and in the future. It doesn't require us to incorporate that in statute or as an amendment. However, because of it would be redundancy, but we'll follow y'all suit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay. Any other, Delegate Healy?
Okay, yes, just along the same, would it do any harm to restate that they can do this? For the sake of clarity for somebody, especially on the floor, who might have questions, who hasn't had the benefit of all the discussion that we've had. Or we could just explain it when we just put bring the bill to the floor and just put it in the notes that they can do that. I'm just asking a question. I don't have any
Right.
idea that we should go one way or the other.
I'll probably have to explain it anyway on the floor. But I believe Delegate Davis had a concern. Delegate Davis, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I believe I heard you expressing a concern.
It should be no surprise that my concern was the other way. My concern was about it being misused.
Right. So do you have an opinion one way or the other about it being MEA's ability to do it at some point in the future, put in the bill? The permissive authority that they already have.
Does anyone else think that it could be misused?
Oh, I hear you, actually. I think that is a very valid concern.
Yeah, I mean, it would improve the value of my house if somebody, I could just go apply for one and get one put in my house. It would increase the value of my house. I don't have any intention of getting an electric vehicle no time soon. I've had the guys knock on my door and say, you need a new roof. It can go under your insurance company. I know exactly how much it costs. And so if I'm off base, fine, but there's a limited pool of money, and we would want it used for those who are buying an electric vehicle or have one, I would think.
Thank you. Delegate Guyton and then Delegate Healy.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Delegate Davis as well, because I actually do hear you, and I didn't have that concern, but I think that you've now convinced me that I should have that concern. I'm not sure how you want to solve that within this bill, but if you have a suggestion, I would certainly be open to considering an amendment.
Thank you. Delegate Healy?
Yeah, I think that this discussion has answered my question. I think that I don't think it's necessary to put any additional language into the bill, because there is, even though they have the authority, they've never used it. And if they change their operations and their regulations, there will be a process and there will be debate among all the stakeholders and people who have concerns about it at that time, if they should ever decide to do it. So I don't think we need to take it away from them. And I don't think we need to, make it obvious that, because maybe stating it in the bill would be like encouraging them to go in that direction, and I'm not sure that's what we want to do. So that was why I raised the question. I wanted to hear back and forth, and I've come down on the side with Delegate Davis.
Thank you. Delegate Guyton, did you have anything else? Okay. Delegate Ziegler and Landon, I see your hand up too. I'll get there. Delegate
Okay,
Ziegler.
thank you, Madam Chair. So I just put in an electric charging thing, and I don't have an electric car. But and the reason I did it is I put a solar. We made our whole house solar, and it was less expensive to do it when they were there than it would be to wait. But I know that I will have an electric car, probably pretty soon, and I don't think it's necessarily a terrible thing for people to look to the future with that, to sort of sign themselves up as we have. You know, we have one car that is really old, and we know it's going to die soon. And the day it dies, it's going to get replaced with an electric car. So that, I don't think that's crazy. But I also wanted to say, I was just scrolling through electric car prices. There are a number of dealers who offer help with putting in a charger as part of, you know, as an incentive to buy the car. I guess you could put this program in the hands of dealers. You could have, you know, so that you had to be buying a car to get the deal on the charging. But I really feel as though, you know, if you build it, they will come. That if somebody puts in a charging station, eventually, maybe not this week, but soon, they'll get themselves an electric vehicle.
Thank you. Delegate Morgan?
Thank you. I question, you know, if anyone is going to really want to install an electric charger in their house to increase its value, because pragmatically thinking, if you look at this thing over time, if the electric vehicles are going to become such a hit, then the cost to install that charger is going to go down in time. And you could be paying high market price now, and 2 years from now, that charger, you know, could be 25% less. So you've not really made that much of a great investment in the value of your property. Actually, you may have hurt yourself.
Thank you. Landon? Landon? Nope.
Nope. No, Chair, thank you so much. Sorry, I was having difficulty unmuted. I would agree to an extent with the delegate's point. There's very little motivation for system gaming here, because the expense, even with the incentive, will exceed. You know, the expense will exceed the incentive by several hundred, if not thousands of dollars, depending on the amount of electrical work that's needed to support a charger. And I think very few individuals, if we're talking about in-home installations, are going to incur that expense. If they don't personally own an electric vehicle, it's not going to have, you know, nobody else except house guests would have access to it. On the commercial side, obviously, there's no, you know, we don't verify, and we wouldn't want to verify the existence of a business-owned electric vehicle, because that's in all likelihood going to be open to the public in front of a store or a shop or what have you.
Okay, thank you. Delegate Stewart?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just weigh in with my 2 cents about this discussion, which is that I agree with Delegate Morgan that I think that the odds there are going to be too many of these people outside of maybe Delegate Ziegler's specific situation where, you know, you're already doing kind of a whole home electrification. I can't imagine there are going to be many people that are going to be going out of their way to pay money over and above any sort of incentive to install something they may not need themselves for a year or two, or they may be installing this because they're thinking about selling their home in 5, 10, 15 years, not only because of the point Delegate Morgan made about the cost of this going down over time, but maybe even more importantly, that this technology will only improve over time. The chargers are going to get better and faster. And so I think it'd be a little bit like, you know, someone who doesn't watch television buying a flat screen TV for their living room in year one, because they're thinking maybe their value of their home would increase in year 5 because they can include the television as part of the home. I just don't anyone would be doing that if there was like a television incentive program, because everyone seems to recognize that TVs are only going to get more powerful and better over time. And that just seems like kind of a bad way to game the system. In other words, I think only people with very little economic sense would even attempt to try to do this. I think you could probably end up counting on one hand the number of people that would actually try to game it or even think to game it in that way. So I'm not super concerned about it.
Thank you. Delegate Healy?
All this discussion, it occurred to me that there may be people that like are going to like Airbnb their house and have, want to attract people to stay in their home. And this would be an incentive for them to use it. It's sort of in between being a business and a residence. If somebody has an in-law apartment in their house that they want to do Airbnb with, and they could get more people to maybe come use their, I guess that's an incentive, right?
I would say that if you're going to have an Airbnb, you're going to expense that out on the cost of the property and then amortize that over the life of the property as a business expense versus a person who's just going to put one of these things in on the hope that someday it may pay off.
Okay, thank you. I'm just learning here.
Okay, any further discussion? And I want to be clear where we are. Because we don't actually have amendment language, but we also know it's something that can already be done. So, are we good with the bill as is? Yes. I'm seeing some nods, some maybes. Okay. That was a good discussion. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, discussion on the bill or the amendments? Okay. Are we ready? Yeah, no? On the amendments, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, is there any, no, we went through that. On the bill as amended.
Move the bill.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on the bill as amended? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the bill as amended, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Excellent. Anyone opposed? Fantastic. HB 550 moves favorable with amendments. And that finishes our work today. Thank you all very much. We will be meeting tomorrow and Friday. So stay tuned. We'll have to juggle around the other lesser subcommittees. So listen up on the floor and check your emails. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.